So 19 is a good question to ask, because if you don't remember how to do those, these don't take a ton of work. So on 19a, find the derivative of this function. Well, derivatives and integrals, we're actually going to practice this question type a little bit more tomorrow, because this is one other thing I feel like y'all need a little more practice on. Derivatives and integrals are almost inverse operations, meaning they almost cancel each other out. So it does cancel each out, except you have to, as long as this is a constant, you can just plug this in to whatever's here, and you get 2 times the sine x. And then because of chain rule, if the derivative of this upper bound is not 1, then you need to multiply by it as well. So that's all you have to do. So it's basically the same thing. It's 2t, but you're plugging in sine instead of t, and then you're coming back and multiplying by cosine. And that is the second fundamental theorem of calculus. So that's super important. And again, like you have...
So you take the derivative, or you integrate sine?
Well, it's asking for the derivative of this function. So you're taking the derivative of the integral from 3 to sine x of 2t.
So of sine x, you take the derivative of sine x?
Yes.
Okay.
If this was, so if this was just a, x, maybe, I don't know, I'll just keep the 2t. If this is just an x, if you want the derivative, the derivative of the integral almost cancel each other out, but this would get plugged into here, so you get 2t. And in this case, you wouldn't need a chain rule piece because the derivative of x is just 1.
Or 2x?
Oh yeah, 2x, sorry. The x, or the t becomes an x when you plug it in. Okay, so then along the same ideas for part B, just different notation, but same idea. What's the derivative of this integral? The bottom's a constant, so this is the second fundamental theorem. So if you plug this in, you would get you would get x to the 4th plugged into t cubed. So that would give you x to the 12th. And then because this doesn't have a derivative of 1, you would need to multiply by its derivative. So 4x to the 15th for part B. Again, you do have to recognize the pattern. You do have to know that sometimes you need to multiply by the derivative of the top. But all things considered, these questions don't take much work. And it's likely to be on your next assessment because it's a big calculus topic. For this type of question, I would highly recommend, if you just write down the answer, if you forgot the process, then you may forget it again. So just having the answer is probably not going to be super helpful. You might want to try to summarize it in a few words so that you can instruct yourself again before the next assessment. Any other questions about 19?